Here we'll deal with an example involving unit conversion with speed, which I refer to as a compound unit. The question gives us a bullet traveling at 300 feet in 1 second, and then asks how fast is it traveling in miles per hour. Let's look at the end of the question first. Miles will be abbreviated as MI, and hours will be abbreviated as HR. Let's also remember that the word per stands for division, so we'll put a division sign in between them. Our mission is to find out the number of miles and the number of hours, and then divide them. Anytime you're dealing with compound units, such as speed, you'll be doing this as a two-part question. Part A will be to find the number of miles based on the information we're given. Part B will be to find the number of hours, also based on the information given. Once we find both miles and hours, we will take the miles divided by the hours to get our speed. Let's begin with the first piece of information we are given. The bullet is traveling a distance of 300 feet. These feet are something that we can relate to miles. Let's write down that we have 300 feet. We can multiply this by a fraction to get out of feet and into the miles that we want for part A. Now the conversion factor we use for miles and feet is that 1 mile is the same as 5,280 feet. In our fraction, miles are on the top. This means that the 1 is next to miles also goes on the top. The 5,280 feet will go to the bottom in that case. Therefore, our first operation will be 300 multiply 1 divide by 5,280. If you don't want to write the multiplication by 1, you don't have to. We can just take the 300 and divide by 5,280. Let's go to the calculator and find what that is. We enter 300 and then division, then we say 5280. We press enter and we get a decimal. We're going to stop after the third decimal place and we get 0.056. We'll go one decimal place further and then think about the rounding. But first I'll write this down on our slide. If we were to round this to 3 decimal places, we would stop after the 6. But because of the 8 that comes after that mark, we will round up. This means our answer for part A, rounded up, will be 0.057. Let's also think about the units. We have feet to start with and feet on the bottom, so those will cancel out. That will leave us with the miles. This means part A is now completed. We know how many miles there are. Let's leave that aside for a second and move on to find the number of hours as well. We're given in the question that we have 1 second. This will be our amount of time, so this is something that we can relate to hours since hours are also time. Let's write down that we have 1 second and multiply this by a fraction to get out of seconds and into hours. Our conversion factor for hours and seconds is that 1 hour is the same as 3,600 seconds. Note that if you were using minutes, we could also say 1 minute is 60 seconds and 1 hour is 60 minutes. However, if you want to go from hours directly to seconds, it may be easier just to remember that 1 hour is 3,600 seconds. Since hours is on the top, we're going to place 1 next to the hours. And since seconds are on the bottom, we'll place 3,600 next to the seconds. Therefore, our operation is 1 times 1 divided by 3,600. We'll go to the calculator and now do that operation. We enter 1, multiply 1, divide 3,600. When we press enter, we get 0.0002 followed by a number of sevens. we can round this to 4 decimal places and just say 0.0003. This will be our answer for part B. Now that we have our answers for part A and B, let's do our division. Our answer from part A was 0.057, and our answer from part B is 0.0003. Now we go to our calculator and divide. We enter our 0.057 and divide by 0.000, making sure there are 3 zeros after the decimal point, and say 3. When we divide, we get 190. Now let's think about the units. Our 0.057 was our miles, and our 0.0003 were our hours. This means our units will be miles per hour, which is usually written as a fraction, where the miles will go on top and the hours will go on bottom. If it's written as a fraction, just remember that the division bar represents the word per. So MI means miles, the division bar means per, and HR means hours. Therefore, our answer is 190 miles per hour.